That down, guys. Let's get things started here, shall we? Yesterday, I went to go see Fantastic Four with Ann. Me, Ann, Ray, and our buddy Ryan. We all went to go see Fantastic Four. And if you saw my out of the theater reaction, I absolutely loved it. As a matter of fact, Ann loved it so much, she's already booked us tickets to go see it again today. So as soon as I'm done this show today, Ann and I are heading back to the movie theater to go and watch it again. Now, if you saw my out of theater reaction, you know I loved it, but it seems like right now, a lot of people seem to be loving it. As of this moment, it's got an 88% certified fresh Rotten Tomato critic rating and a 92% audience rating. Now, again, remember, these are verified audience ratings. This is verified. These are people who actually saw Fantastic Four and their votes are being registered. So that's pretty impressive. All right. Let me go into what I thought of Fantastic Four. I'm going to talk about how I felt about it in general. I'm going to talk about the things I didn't like about it. Then I'm going to talk about the things that I liked about it, and then just kind of re-sum it all up here. So let's get into it here, shall we? Overall, I loved this film. Now, one of the things that I said in my out of theater reaction was that Thunderbolts marked the return of really good Marvel, right? Because we've had, it's been hit and miss. Deadpool and Wolverine was beyond awesome, yes, but we had a few that were not so great, including the last one, Captain America: Brave New World, was quite frankly subpar and was not a very good effort on their part. Then Thunderbolts comes out, and Thunderbolts, I thought, knocked it out of the park. I thought they did a great job with Thunderbolts. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie so much. I've seen it multiple times. I'm going to watch it many more times again. So I said Thunderbolts was the return of really good Marvel. But to me, Fantastic Four is the return of peak Marvel. Now, I qualify that by saying that's not me saying that Fantastic Four is the best movie Marvel's ever made. It's not. But what it is when you watch it, you can tell that Marvel was firing on all cylinders. That level of excellence that we came to expect out of MCU movies in the first bunch of years through the first three phases, where, you know, sometimes it was their absolute best movie, sometimes it was their fourth best movies, but you know, there was that period of time when you can just tell Marvel was in the zone. You know what I mean? You know, sometimes you're playing a video game and like you can just do nothing wrong. You're just in that zone. And there was a period of time when Marvel would put out movies and make these MCU movies. You could tell they were in a zone. They were firing on all cylinders. They were totally in the flow. While they have put out some great stuff in recent years, they put out a few things that are great. We've never really, at least I've never really felt like I was watching a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie where it felt like they were back in that zone again. Like even Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts, I think, is a wonderful movie, right? But I never got that sense that they were completely in that zone again, where this is Marvel absolutely firing on all cylinders. But Fantastic Four, not that I'm saying it's a perfect movie. It's not. But this was the first time in a long time, guys, that I've been watching a Marvel movie where it felt like they are firing on all cylinders. They're in the zone. They've found their flow. Like they are just hitting every target right now. The dialogue was spectacular all throughout it. None of it felt forced. None of it felt overdone. Like I love Superman. Love Superman. But you know that one line that drives me crazy in Superman? When Engineer goes, "I know, Lex. I sacrificed my whole humanity to help you destroy him." It's like, oh God, that one line was so forced and so clearly expositionary for no other reason than to be expositionary. And it was just like, Fantastic Four has none of that. Like, every bit of dialogue was meaningful and beautiful, and the chemistry between the characters, impeccable. Impeccable. It was just glorious to watch. You know, one of the things I said in my out of the theater reaction was the way you can tell I really loved this movie was the fact that even if you took out almost all the comic book elements, take out the space travel, take out the giant monster, take out the action sequences. If Fantastic Four ended up being a 2-hour movie of just these 4 characters hanging around at a dinner table or walking around town together or hanging out in the living room and just talking together, I could have watched that movie. I mean, it wouldn't have been as good as it is this one, but even if it was just that, I totally could have watched this movie because I love the dynamic between the characters. I love the banter between the characters. I love the nature of the relationship between the characters. No spoilers here, but there's a point in the movie, as in every movie with multiple superheroes, where like Reed and Sue have a bit of a disagreement, right? And here's the thing. It felt, as a married guy, it felt like such a real married couple disagreement. It felt so authentic and so real, and they didn't overblow it or anything like that. And it just felt so good. I loved watching every moment that Sue would talk to Johnny. I loved every moment that Ben was talking to Reed. I loved every moment of Reed and Sue together. I loved every moment of Ben and Johnny together. I mean, just the character work was so good.
Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. It feels like workplace stress is higher than ever these days. And I was just reading that about 61% of the global workforce is dealing with above normal levels of stress. And honestly, it's not surprising. When you're stuck in endless Zoom meetings, juggling deadlines, or just trying to keep your head above water, it adds up. Now, sure, a quick vacation sounds nice, but let's be real. It's not a long-term fix. What's helped me is building small wellness habits. For me, it's things like getting outside in the sun for a few minutes or squeezing in a brisk walk during breaks. But for a lot of people, sometimes that's just not enough, and that's where therapy can really help. BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform with over 30,000 therapists who've already helped over 5 million people worldwide. Their app is super convenient. You can meet with a therapist with just a click, and if it's not the right fit, you can switch therapists anytime. And just listen to the user reviews. The BetterHelp app has a 4.9 out of 5 from over 1.7 million reviews. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Campea. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Campea.
Also, I got to say the visual effects were top notch. There are 1 or 2 moments that maybe I thought they could have done a little bit of a better job on the CGI. I'll talk about those in a minute, but overall, I thought the visual effects work was outstanding. Like absolutely outstanding. They did everything, like that whole world they created. And a lot of it was practical, but a lot of it was also digital. The whole world they created for Fantastic Four just looked impeccable, looked so good. Everything about like in their space travel and the use of their powers and everything. I loved it. And, Vanessa, or not Vanessa, Fanjexture is saying in the live chat, and Fanjexture is 100% right. Ben felt real. Like I watched a few clips of like the old Fantastic Four, Jessica Alba and Chris Evans and Michael Chiklis as the Thing. And I mean, what they were able to do with that practical costume from Michael Chiklis was wonderful. But this Thing felt more real than Michael Chiklis's Thing did, and Michael Chiklis's Thing was a practical costume. And yet this Ben felt even more real to me. And like everything from how he emoted and his expressions on that rock face of his was just amazing. By the way, Herbie was great too. Herbie was a practical effect, not CGI. I was surprised when I found that out. But Herbie was wonderful. I thought I would get kind of annoyed with clearly they just put this little thing in to sell toys. But Herbie was great. I love Herbie in it. He was wonderful. I had a really good time with it. So Galactus, obviously it goes without saying that this is, not that the standards were very high, but that this was the best iteration of Galactus that we've ever had. Like, that's fair to say. I thought they portrayed Galactus as awe-inspiring, menacing. They did a great job. Silver Surfer was wonderful. I know there were some people that had some concerns about Silver Surfer going in. Silver Surfer was great. 100% great. And the way by the way, there are scenes in this movie, I won't give context or anything not to spoil it, but there are scenes in this movie where Surfer is like chasing something and like literally the surfing moves, like that Surfer, it just looks so visually great. I was overwhelmed by it. And the way the inflections in her voice was great. Everything about it was just awesome. The Surfer was absolutely knocked it out of the park. I loved the movie. Absolutely loved it. All right. Let me talk for a minute here about a couple of things that I didn't think worked. Let me start with something I already referenced. Remember I said that I thought the visual effects in the movie were fantastic, and they are. But I said there were a couple of moments, just a couple of moments that I didn't think looked great. One of the visual effect shots that I didn't think looked great is actually in one of the trailers. There's that scene where Ben is flying the Fantastic car and he jumps out of the Fantastic car into the water, like cannonball, and goes into the water, and then he pulls the ship out. You know, that's in the trailer. In the trailer, I didn't think that visual effect of him jumping out and hitting the water, I didn't think that looked completely believable in the trailer, but I thought it'll look better on the big screen. To be honest, it didn't look better on the big screen. I thought that 1.8 second of a shot didn't look all that great. So 0.8 of a second of a shot. Fine. Another thing I think they could have done better in the movie is it wasn't complicated and it wasn't terribly confusing, but I think the movie could have done a better job expressing passage of time. Because there are times in the film you're like, okay, how much time has passed between that scene and this scene? Has this been a significant time jump, like 5 weeks later, or has it been 5 minutes later? I'm not saying they did a terrible job with that. I just think they could have done a little bit better of a job to kind of convey passage of time. And I think that would have made the story feel a little bit more coherent. Like, again, I feel like we were able to keep up. It's just one of those things that I think they could have done a little bit better. Next, this is really a sin of omission. So it's not anything that was on the screen that I didn't like. It was something that I think they could have used a little bit more of. I would have liked to have seen Reed use his powers a little bit more. Because, I mean, look, Reed's number one power is his intellect, right? He's the smartest man on the planet. And this movie really leans into that. It totally leans into his absolute intellect. They do that great. I'm talking about his superpowers, though, his stretching ability. There are a couple scenes that highlight it well, but I feel like we got to see Johnny use his stuff more. I feel like we got to see Sue use her powers a little bit more. And again, I get it. Reed's number one power is his smarts, but still, I would have liked to have seen Reed use his stretching power a little bit more in the movie. Again, that's not something wrong with the movie. That's something that I wish they added a little bit more of. Also, another thing that I didn't love about the movie, and I won't give anything away about it, but I don't think the second post-credit scene was worth sticking around for. Now, look, I don't think post-credit scenes have to like tease something that's coming later. I really don't. A lot of people disagree with me on that, but I don't care. I really don't think that you need to make post-credit scenes that, but at least make post-credit scenes worth sticking around for. Give a big, give a little bit of a surprise, or give a big laugh, right? Or give something like that. Make it so it was worth sticking around. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, while the first post-credit scene, the mid-credit scene, totally worth sticking around for. The second one at the very end of the movie, not worth sticking around for. So if you go to see Fantastic Four and you're in the theater and watching the movie, stick around for the first post-credit scene that happens midway through the credits. But after that's done, you can pack up your stuff and leave and go. You don't need to stick around for the second one. It really isn't worth it. And that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. That's about it that I've got for the things I didn't like about the movie. Now, that doesn't mean everything else is perfect. There are a lot of things in this movie that they do well that I thought they could have done a little bit even more of. Like, for example, Ben. you see in the trailer, there's that one shot where Ben is looking through the glass at a TV of himself still in his human form. And then it pulls focus to just seeing Ben's reflection kind of staring at himself the way he used to be. And that was great. No dialogue was needed. We got a world of information through a quick moment and a quick look on Ben's face. However, I do think maybe it would have been even better if there was at least one quick conversation somewhere in the movie about Ben's feelings of how he is, right? Johnny still looks like Johnny. Sue still looks like Sue. Reed still looks like Reed, but Ben is now forever visually different than everybody. And I thought maybe they could have delved into that just a little bit more, but now I'm nitpicking. Like, honestly, now I'm nitpicking. Overall, is it the best action we've ever had in a Marvel movie? No. Is it the best humor we've ever had in a Marvel movie? No, I wouldn't say that. But what I am saying in general is this is Marvel operating at their peak again. Now, will that continue? I don't know. I don't know yet. Well, we're going to have to wait for Doomsday or Spider-Man or whatever. But it felt so nice being in this movie theater and watching this movie and really feeling like for the first time in a long time, you were getting Marvel's best. Their best effort, their best focus, their best standards. And again, I haven't felt that in a while. So it was really, really good to feel that again. So yeah, guys, now just so you guys know, on Sunday, this Sunday at 2 p.m. Los Angeles time, that'll be 5 p.m. New York time on Sunday, we're going to be doing our Fantastic Four open spoiler discussion. So you've got yesterday, today, and tomorrow to see Fantastic Four, and then join us on Sunday at 2 p.m. LA time. That's 5 p.m. East Coast time, New York time, for our Fantastic Four open spoiler discussion. Hope you guys will come by and join us for that. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.